Alright, in this video, I'm going to talk about something I was thinking about yesterday, but something just happened that reminded me of it. And that is when, you can run across people who are doing things that you really think are bad, and you know that they're bad, okay? No thinking, you know they are. And to get money, okay? And in your mind, it's so bad. But you have to question yourself, to play it like a devil's advocate kind of thing, to see both sides of it. Have you walked a mile in their shoes? Have you ever had it to where life was really bad and you had to do things that you normally wouldn't do in order to survive? Okay, what had happened was I was in a store and just now, and the woman, I've seen her one time before, that the cashier, she's kind of tough, like she wants to be in control over me. Like I'm the customer, she want to be in control over, kind of demanding type. And that doesn't work with me. So, and my thought was, when I was walking out, how she was very abrasive, and my thought was, she, about how old is she? She's probably 10 years older than I. And I thought, no, she's probably my age, and she's just had a much rougher life. You see what I'm saying? Because around this age, yeah, you kind of see it even younger, or older, whatever. You can kind of see that some people have had a rougher life. It's worn them down. But it doesn't always have to be the case to be worn down, though. Okay. And then there's some people, I've been through rough times in my life. I was a starving student. I was a career student. Oh, man. And a good chunk of it, I was a starving student. I remember it made me question Maslow's hierarchy of needs, because, I wasn't always getting a good amount of food, the right kind of food, but I was still able to pass my classes. And I don't know, that was just so funny in my head back then. So, and it was, food, clothing, shelter. If I can't meet that, how can I? Anyway, it was just funny to me back then. Now, whatever. You got that. Okay, now that I've prattled on a little bit, now I have been doing these videos about, people who, for how many years now? But there's something new that kind of spurred me on to do this again, about the people who try to get money, but they're not necessarily needing it to get their food, clothing, shelter, their, to be able to survive. They just want it. Okay. Now, let's flip it and say that the people are actually the ones who have run into bad times and they can't meet those needs. Okay. Yeah. And let's associate this with the dysfunctional family. If you've grown up in a dysfunctional family and you went no contact with them or your friends from many years, people who would in the past say you were there for them, maybe they were there for you in bad times, in good times, both. Okay, but some would say if you lived in a dysfunctional, or these days they call it narcissistic family, or toxic family, was anybody ever there for you anyway? But I think in a way, yes. I can't imagine. It could be true, but I don't think that if you're in a family, dysfunctional family, that every member of all of the whole family is bad and would not be there for you. But it could be. I can say, yeah, it could be, and have a little knowledge about that, quite a bit of knowledge about that. But, and what I have heard in this is, okay, actually I have been asked this myself. What happens when a person, the question was something like, what would you do if you needed help and you're no contact from your family, your family of origin? Okay, when you're in a time of need, who would you go to? And I've been thinking a lot about this lately, about how we've become such a digital world. We've become, to meet so many people on the internet, and especially people, some people who have gone no contact with friends, family, whomever, they don't really have anybody. They're kind of starting over with in life altogether, with their eyes wide open about what's dysfunctional and what's, these days they say narcissistic and abusive, and they are taking time away to get to know themselves, maybe a year or more, and then to develop new friendships, new healthy friendships and healthy relationships. Now, say during all that, they fall on hard times, really bad hard times, and they don't have enough money to meet those. Okay, and maybe they can't get, some kind of, help from the government wherever they live, whatever it is, and they can't get enough assistance. Maybe it's something drastic that happened right then. Who do they turn to? Well, who would they turn to? Really think about it. I think, of course, trying through whatever kind of programs in their area, wherever they live, whatever kind of social programs are there, sure. And some places actually help with funds, financial. They don't give you cash. They'll usually pay a bill, or I don't know, some might pay cash. I don't know what all of them do. Of course not. But some may help out with electricity bills or phone bills or essential bills, medical bills even. But yeah. But I think that one of the issues these days that hasn't really been that much in the past, at least when I was young, but say it's growing and increasing, is that a lot of people are turning to relationships that are online. Okay, this is the point I wanted to get to. That their relationships, like they are no contact with their family and friends, they try to go and find, relationships some other way, and it's more these days online. You have an online friend or friends, and they might not even live in the same country as you. Okay, or them. So, are these the people they turn to? And what kind of problems can that bring about? It's very, some people say, well, it's the same thing as in person. Is it really? Is it really? No, of course not. It's not. Virtual world and the real world, I don't like to call it real world, but the non-virtual world. These are two totally different kinds of things in many things. You still have your same kind of thoughts and feelings and views about stuff, but it's different, because let's think about that. Okay, think, in terms of this, somebody is online and they're, you've known them for a while. I just did a video about this, and you've known them for, say, a few years even, and all of a sudden they fall on hard times, and you loan them some money. Okay, you somehow send it through whatever it is, PayPal, whatever, and they get it, and the next thing, like I said in another video, they're out there using it. Just, you can see them on video, or they're talking about it. They're out there just buying frivolous things, and they were saying they need it to pay their electricity bill, their water bill, to have food on their table, for their kids even, whatever. And this was your friend. This was a new friend. Okay, and that is different than somebody who's right there that you're handing over the money and you see them on a daily basis. These are people who you've maybe not even really truly seen. Maybe you've seen them on video, but not in person. You don't know what they're like in person. And things you can tell about a person in person, yeah, there's a lot that you can't tell on video. Point being that I think that people are it's much easier to be scammed out of money, to be conned out of money while online. And I'd like to see research if it says yes or no. But I would really like to see research on that. But, okay, now how about the person who is not conning, is not going to con, is not going to do that? How are they affected by the ones who do? The ones who are just trying to get money off of anybody, and the way they say, hey, they're suckers, I don't care, and they brag about how they are, basically master manipulators, but how they are, what is that word? I just used it yesterday. Hustlers, yeah. Oh, it's such a bad word to me. I mentioned in that video why. But they're proud of it. They just love to tell everybody they're such good at hustling to get their money, to get money from people. Their money, they say it as their money. Anybody's money is their money. And anybody they can groom to where that person would start giving them money. How are the people who really do think of these people as, all their friends, online friends, and not all of their friends are scammers, but then they run into hard times. They don't have family they can go back on. They've gone no contact with their family. They've gone no contact with their face-to-face friends. And so their friends and their family, the way they feel about people, they're online. But these scammers, these people, I call them scammers, con artists, have made it that, to where people don't trust anymore. Not everybody know any of this. Okay. But too many people won't trust because, they've probably heard or have been abused by somebody like that. And I do see it as an abuse. You betcha. Okay, so now you can see what I'm saying, right? And I do worry about that because we're becoming more and more. I was first on anything you would consider a social media platform in 1990. And yeah, I can see that, I've lived before then. I wasn't born in the 90s. I was born in the 60s. So I have seen the change, and I have seen, as a sociologist, my master's is in sociology, having seen this and gone through that change myself, yeah, I do worry. I worry about the people who feel a strong reason, their eyes have been opened to go no contact with these people just to replace them with people who are online. Okay. And I can understand that. Okay, I had a group of friends, a large group of friends, when, back in late 1990s. And that one was late 1990s. But we also saw one another in person. That's a big difference. And because we all lived in the same area. But people who don't live in the same areas, and I forgot to use my blinker. I'm surprised my car didn't remind me. But people who don't live in the same areas, the people they meet online, yeah, how can they trust? How could they trust them? Because so many people are good at getting on camera, scammers, con artists. Some would call them narcissistic people, abusers, whatever. They're good at getting themselves together before the camera comes on, so they can talk about something bad going on in their life. Play the histrionic and the histrionic behaviors, and people will give them money. Okay, and they're really good at, they're master manipulators. They're good at the con, but the other ones aren't. And like I've said in videos, it becomes so much of a culture these days that people are more narcissistic, abusive, whatever. I would still love to see that research. It states that. But like in my area, as I've said, that it's because it's become such the norm that anybody who is actually authentic, actually going through something, actually nice person, an actual person who is not narcissistic like that. We're all narcissistic to some degree, but I'm talking about people who are, they're just not. They're not, me, give it to me. It's all mine. I'm all right. You're all wrong. On and on. But they're just not abusive. And they are seen as the ones who are the narcissists, because the con, what people hear, what has become part of the culture, the norm, is the people who know how to con. You see, it's con people into believing that they're not bad, but behind the scenes at home they're beating their wife or husband or whatever. But to the world they look like perfect angels. That's become a norm. That kind of person, how they do that, has become the norm. The rest of them seem like they're the bad one. Okay, one allergy attack later. Yeah. I think I'm gonna get, start to wrap this up. But Seriously, I do worry about this. How people who, and in the more, really, the more and more we become such a, so many people working from home, so many people who uh, telecommute from wherever. I mean, you don't have to work from home to do it. In fact, Adam does some of his at a separate office when it's by yourself kind of thing. Not really by yourself, but you get what I'm saying. Where a lot of it is just not telecommute. What is the word I'm looking for? You know what I'm talking about. But they do it from a remote. There it is. Their job remotely, and they're not around enough people, um, face to face people to develop some kind of a relationship, a close one. And I've never thought of people you work with as that close. Yeah, sometimes they are like a family, and that's a whole separate video. Well, I think that's not a good thing. Some ways it is, many ways it's not. To me, anyway. What's going to happen? Really, let's get back to this. What's going to happen when more and more people are working from home? They're most, they see other people as going to buy the groceries, but then again, it could be just the person delivering them. I've done the delivery thing quite a bit. And you see what I'm saying? And they're not socializing, they're not developing friendships except those online. And at the same time, there's more and more e-beggars, con artists, scammers, whatever, online. So when they run into a time of true need, and many of us do, and you know yourself that something could happen, and tomorrow you're needing the help. Okay, we know that, unless you're just really, yeah, that's a whole separate video too, but anything can happen that can wipe you out, really, especially with, I'm a victim of identity theft, especially when people can just wreak all kinds of havoc on your finances and on and on. So what's going to happen? How is this going to be resolved? What should people do? How would you know? So many questions, huh? But like I said, I'm going to wrap it up because I'm probably going to start having another allergy attack. I'll talk to you on another video. Bye.